cultural ambience, child and demise of the head of the family, is on the line today. A sad narrative worth telling for necessary impact. Then our correspondents have put together reports that will help us appreciate the nation's cultural diversity and how we proudly carry our cultural heritage. Then, do you know today is unique in history? For those who are not aware, stay on the line to find out why we're privileged to experience today's date. Then we also have reports that give you food for thought on local and popular drink and environmental actions that could endanger communities and the ecosystem. And of course, corporate organizations, as usual, have their segment. Same for our social diary with a potpourri of events and celebrations. I can go on and on, but I'll pause here for Claire Adelabu to give us the news for the day.
My tongue twister there. Hello, Jennifer. Good to see you. Let's begin the news on a bilateral note. And President Muhammadu Buhari extends his good wishes to President Xi Jinping and citizens of the People's Republic of China at this trying time. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, President Buhari describes China's efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus as exemplary, collaborating with international agencies and other countries on the global health emergency. Referencing China's exceptional support to Nigeria and Africa in recent years, President Buhari acknowledges the need to let China know that Nigeria and her citizens stand by her in her trying period and commends Nigerians for their hospitality towards Chinese nationals. President Buhari is also optimistic that with the efforts put in place, the nightmare will soon pass. And back home, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called on corporate bodies and well-meaning Nigerians to support the humanitarian services going on at the various IDP camps. At a fundraising held in Lagos for indigent students, the Vice President says more involvement of the private sector will play a key role in taking thousands of boys and girls off the streets and the IDP camps as well. Here is correspondent Gideon Ifadi with the rest of the story.
As the Vice President observes, most of the humanitarian services are provided by international non-governmental organizations supporting the federal government towards rebuilding the devastated areas, but describes the local private response as still so little.
The tragedy of conflict and its outcomes in poverty and displacement is stark. Governments alone cannot handle it.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo calls underlining the significance of joint efforts towards addressing the challenge of poverty in affected areas.
And the best efforts of the Borno State government, the former and present governors, by the way, are outstanding public servants, and the state is certainly fortunate to have them. But so much more is left undone. So much more still needs to be done. There are still thousands, especially girls, in the camps, and some roaming the streets waiting for the second chance that only committed persons and organizations of conscience can offer. And so I urge you to join in that effort as soon as possible.
The Vice President commends organizers for their commitment to promoting quality education over the last 3 decades.
The First Lady is particularly...
First Lady Aisha Buhari was represented at the occasion, received commendation for the promotion of the well-being of women and children in the country. Jude Onifade, NT News.
And as part of plans to reduce food wastage and engage herders for economic sustainability, the federal government is to establish 2 milk processing plants in Jigawa State this year. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Sabo Nanano, stated this while on an inspection visit to food silos in Jagun local government area of the state. Here is Anwar Mohammed Kazauri with the rest of the story.
The Jahun federal government-owned 25,000 metric tons silos is among the 34 established for storage of grains and being sold to people at subsidized prices during drought. The minister, while inspecting the facility, said the federal government will purchase and distribute over 10,000 tractors to farmers across the country to enhance mechanized farming. He announced plans to set up agro-allied industries in each of the states of the Federation, with Jigawa to benefit from 2 dairy processing plants.
I am here to see our silos, which we lease to some companies. One, to see whether really they are doing the job that they say they are going to do. I have seen some semblance of it here. And we are reviewing all these concessions where the consignee has met all the necessary conditions. We will allow them to operate. Those that have not, we are going to revoke.
During the visit, the minister had interacted with farmer groups and advised them to embrace mechanized farming and plant more cash crops. He also paid homage at the palace of the Emir of Dutse, Dr. Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi. From Dutse, Awal Muhammad Kazaure, NTA News.
Now, breaking language barriers is one way the Nigerian Army is forging civil-military relations in various communities where operations are carried out. Our correspondent Najato Tijani reports on graduates of the Indigenous Languages Proficiency Course 7 who are already putting to practice their newly acquired language skills.
Imagine a scenario where a military personnel from Akwa Ibom State is proficient in Hausa. This is the case with Lieutenant Victoria, who is from Michuka in Adamawa State. Her native tongue is Hiki, but she now speaks 2 other indigenous languages.
Yoruba language and Igbo language.
Can you say something in Yoruba for me?
Okay, let me start with Igbo, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. Otuto Omanu. Yes, then thank you, Esheo, Adupe.
Lieutenant Victoria and her Course 7 mates are now proficient in the 3 major Nigerian languages of Igbo, Hausa and Yoruba, having been awarded certificates of proficiency.
Credible and reliable intelligence, which on its part depends on the ability to communicate with the local populace. Effective communication on its part will require some level of proficiency in the local dialect of the operating environment.
The proficiency course is part of value-added services of the Nigerian Army, aimed at building capacity of personnel and boosting security operations in the country. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
I also recollect the days when we also here in NTA were very proficient in the 3 major languages. Of course, we used to say Odaro, Bukwana Lafia, and Kaimbochi. All right, let's move on now. The Nigerian Army has rewarded 37 officers and soldiers in the Northeast Theater of Operation Lafia Dole. A statement by the Nigerian Army Operations Media Coordinator, Colonel Aminu Iliasu, indicates that the reward is aimed at boosting the troops' morale in the Northeast. Now, details of the award reveal that officers are also to receive special commendation letters, while soldiers will be accorded promotion to their next respective ranks. All right, members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God nationwide held a peaceful procession to seek God's face on ending insecurity, incessant killings, banditry, and kidnappings experienced across the country. Elizabeth Amoruyi reports that the General Overseer of Redeemed Church led the peaceful procession.
Members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, led by Pastor Enoch Adeboye, took to the streets of Lagos to bring to the attention of the government the need to adopt more proactive measures to reduce the menace in the country. Amidst prayers and songs of praise, the parishioner walked from the headquarters of the church in Ebutimeta to major streets in Lagos, carrying placards of different inscriptions on security.
The Christians are aware and they want things to change.
Similarly, in Abuja, members of the church also held processions to emphasize the need for Nigerians to support the government in the fight against insecurity.
move around and pray for healing in our land, for help for our leaders.
Our prayer as a church and as a national body of Christians is that peace should return to our nation.
The Prayer and Praise Walk is a directive of the Christian Association of Nigeria (CAN) on winning the war against insurgency and other crimes the nation is grappling with.
That was our correspondent Elizabeth Omoro with that report. Now in sports, Enyimba Football Club of Aba qualified for quarterfinals of CAF Confederation by beating FC San Pedro 5-2 in the last Group D match played in Abuja, thereby placing second with 10 points. The Mazimakos has more on sports, but first, the Nigeria Professional Football League. And on the downside, President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with government and people of Anambra State over the death of former Vice Chairman of National Democratic Coalition and prolific writer Dr. Arthur Aguncha Nwankwo, noting that posterity would always remember the labor and sacrifices of the late nationalist. The President, in a statement, commiserates with family, friends, professional and political associates of Dr. Nwankwo, encouraging them to find solace in the late writer's contributions to national and global development, which promoted values of peace, unity and love. President Buhari believes Dr. Nwankwo's investments in humanity will endure and prays God to receive the soul of the departed statesman and comforts his family. Let's pause for a while and take a look at the weather prospects for Monday. And that ends the news from Abuja. I am Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak for Jennifer, who found it difficult to call my name. Don't go away. She'll be right back after the commercials.